And a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Hi, my name is Adam. We are Royal Republic, and you are watching and listening to LINEAROCK. Enjoy.
Hi, Royal Republic. Welcome to LINEAROCK.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you back in Milan. And so you're here promoting the 5th album, Love Cop.
Good that somebody's keeping track.
And so you're playing tonight at Santeria Toscana here in town. And people is, waiting for you to have you back on stage also in Italy. And tell us something first about the new record, which is pretty eclectic, I must say. Astonishing record. A sort of, darkness meets Abba, as you...
Wow. That's new. I've never heard that. I like it. I like it.
Well, and you're very particular, that kind of vibe, a combination, that's what I was thinking, darkness and Abba as two extreme points, let's say. Which makes sense indeed for you guys, because you've been always very, very particular. So how does it go for you? I mean, when you have to make a new record, is it a sort of competition with yourselves, to be always on top of surprising yourselves and the people?
I think it's funny because we're probably the most rule-less band there might be, like at least among the four of us. And we also have really solid rules. It's like we can make one album where we say there are absolutely no limits and let's try something new. And then the next album is going to be called like Stick to Your Guns. That was a joke I borrowed from you, by the way.
I noticed.
But it's at the core of things, it has to be fun for us to be in this band. That's the core of everything. It's so easy to get caught up in the business side of things. There are other people involved that, maybe are not in it for the same reasons we are and the reasons we started the band to begin with. And, things happen, the world changes, life changes. This kind of remains the same in a way, even though we might have a broader and bigger sound palette these days than what we had on the first record. I think the energy and the music and the vibe of the band is very much the same. So I want to keep it that way.
As you said, on your biography, there's this statement which is pretty strong. They don't buy into the cliches or the do's and don'ts of rock and roll. This is such a strong statement. And as you said, you never played by the rules. But that is a rule in its own right itself.
Maybe.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So, can it be a sort of trap? A sort of standard rule in its own right. The fact of not having any rules, and is it tougher than for anybody else? Because you have such a wide. Musical journey, let's say.
I think
Discreet.
I don't know. I feel like the four of us always sort of agree when it's Royal Republic. Like we try a bunch of things and we throw them all on the wall and whatever sticks for all four of us. We're usually like completely in agreement when it's,
That's a good
when it's there.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't feel like there's the rule that it has to feel like Royal Republic, and we don't really know what that is
Okay.
until we hear it.
I think that's been, I don't know if it was a problem or an asset in our case, but I mean, from day one when we started the band, people, even, management, record labels, everybody that took us on, they wanted to place us in certain, boxes and drive us in this particular direction. You are a rock band. So you do this, you say this, you look like this, you know what I mean? There was this formula of, how to act. And there is this identity that is expected from you. When you meet like even, rock and roll, fans of rock and roll.
Yeah.
They expect you to be a certain way and, fit a certain mold. And we really felt like we didn't fit into the whole thing. So when we say we don't care about rules, it's not like we say fuck authority or you know.
Yeah, of course.
That's not what we're saying. It's just like we really didn't fit into the image of, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and oh, you know, you love the Ramones, or you gotta. This is, you know, the basics of rock and roll. It's like we don't. That's not our. We don't know where we came from, really. It's such a mixed bag of cats hanging around. I mean, there's so many musical influences here that we couldn't really agree and name one on, you know, this is why we started the band.
Yes, of course, we're talking about music, so it's, it was the fact of the formula. That's exactly what I meant. And do you define yourselves more as classic rock or modern rock, or neither? I mean, and what each of you bring into the picture.
Keep passing microphones around.
Katie?
Final frontier.
I mean, there's parts of everything in there. I guess that's what makes it eclectic, like you said. I mean, who knows what's going to come up in the future? I agree, there's classic rock in there, but there's also modern rock. There's 90s rap now as well. I mean, who knows?
Early 90s rap.
Early, very specific.
Everything.
West Coast, early 90s
Swedish
rap.
West Coast 90s rap.
What each of you bring into the picture? I mean, like talking about influences and also, you know, your life as a band.
I have come to appreciate over the years the diversity in personalities and in music. Because we didn't really know each other when we started the band. You know, I started the band and I basically asked these guys. I found these guys based on their musical merits rather than, you know, oh, he's a cool guy, or he looks cool, or you know. It was more like we all went to the Academy of Music, which is like the, you know, highest level of music education you can get to in Sweden. So we're all really like nerds rather than rockers. And that story didn't really float with, you know, the business people when we started. Like, no, we need to sharpen your image. Like, sex sells, and it needs to be. We're like, fuck you. We're making like, let's make it about the music. Look, we can sing 4-part harmony. Isn't that great? They're like, yeah, but who's gonna give a shit? Like, we need scandals and we need this or that. Anyway, so and then there was a period of time where it was almost like we were trying to smooth things out and make everybody equal and make everything the same. And I've rather than that come to really appreciate the different things that everybody brings, like the strengths that each and every one of us have, that makes one big, you know, strength and machine.
Yeah, I think we make each other stronger, and we've made each other stronger over the years. Yeah. It's like everybody sort of honed in on what they do well, and we challenge each other, and yeah, I think that makes everybody stronger, which makes us stronger together.
And about what you were telling me before, you're very much fanciful, let's say, and but was it harder, you know, to conquer the audience, the critics, the management, the label? Which was the hardest step, as you are, you know, so particular?
I think it's still going on, because I also think that we arrived, you know, as being a full-time professional band, so to say, professional musicians, at a time where the music business changed in so many different directions. Like streaming came along. Yeah. So the record labels were panicking. And then the festival death happened, at least in Sweden and large parts of Europe, where festivals just couldn't do it anymore because they weren't making money for some reason. People stopped going. So there were no festivals that way. Okay, so we didn't get the big paychecks. We had a #1 on MTV just when MTV was like, nobody gives a shit. It's 16 and pregnant now. That's all MTV is. You know what I mean? So we came at this weird time, and we've kind of had to navigate ourselves, you know, in this time. Okay, you're supposed to make an album. No, don't make an album. Make singles. Go touring. Don't tour. Do this. Make covers. Oh, don't do covers. Write your own shit. Like, it's such a weird way. And at the very end, it's like we can only do what we need to do what feels right to us. Yeah. Because there is no given, if you do this, it will work. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We still we don't have a gold. We have one gold record, Tommy Gun, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, we still haven't had like a hit. You know,
Okay.
like there are bands that have had rock bands from our country and from all over the world that have had hits. We still haven't, but we still play largely in Europe. We play arenas now. You know what I mean? So we must be doing something right. And I think that attraction is coming back to, again, the core of it's real. There's a real like chemistry, and there's us having fun and sharing it with the audience. And that's what I think put us where we are now.
And how do you work on the songs? Do you have a particular process that you use all the time, or actually inspiration happens whenever and wherever, and you don't have a formula, not even in writing songs?
I don't think there's a given formula for writing a song. It can be anything from like assembling something like an Ikea furniture. All the pieces are just there. You just have to screw them together, or it's just like you're standing in the shower, and suddenly
You're showering?
once a year, and then I get an idea for a really good song, and then you get an idea, or just before you're about to fall asleep. Those are usually when I
sleep?
yeah, I do as well. And then you get ideas. So you don't know.
We're learning so much.
Yeah, 15 years.
But at which point, I mean, you come together as a band to write, or it's something that you don't schedule, you don't have a plan?
When the Dropbox is full.
We schedule a lot of it. That's the hardest part of songwriting, is scheduling dates when everybody's available. No, it's everybody sits usually and writes on their own. You know, everybody has kind of a home studio set up, and now we have kind of a headquarters as well where we work a lot. And I think that's proven to work really well for everybody to gather and develop ideas on their own a little bit, like, you know, in a kind of stress-free environment, you know, at their own pace. And then we just basically send it around to everybody, and you will notice, like Jonas said, or Paz said, somebody reacts to that song or that riff or that vocal line. And then we take it from there and we start putting it together as a band. But a lot of the time we've written the songs, recorded the albums, recorded the music videos even, before we even played it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of songs came together that way.
Okay.
And I think
on every album except the second one.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
We had to learn how to play it after.
And usually the lyrics are the last piece of the puzzle, or...
Sometimes they're the first. It's like, there is no... Like Jonas said,
who's in charge of the lyrics? It's you, Adam, or everybody?
There is no really,
No rules.
No, but I mean, it's not Hannes. Everybody writes lyrics. Everybody writes drum beats. Everybody writes guitar parts and melodies and hooks. It's really everybody's game, so to say. And again, I think that's one of the strengths of this band. And also that there's no ego in like, I want my words on there. Or I want everybody's going for the best song. What's best for the song? You know, it's not about, but I want the guitar to be louder. Like, if, you know what I mean? There's none of that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's for the good of the whole.
Everybody, the whole.
Which is really cool.
And about rules, but how do you explain what a love cop is? And is there anybody of you that actually is the love cop in the band?
You met 3 of them in Mexico the other week.
They were full of love. Spreading love all around. I don't know what is a love cop. I mean, usually what happens is we come up with something that we think sound cool or funny or whatever, and then we turn it into a song. And then afterwards, we're like, okay, we're gonna do interviews now. We're probably gonna get asked these questions.
Of course.
What is a fireman and dancer?
Exactly.
Who am I not to make this question?
No, it's an obvious question, and of course, but I don't know. You guys have an idea?
Not really. I mean, somewhere it's rooted in, it comes back to, again, the fact that we're like your song and dance man, and we're just going to have fun. Like, we're the love police. You're under arrest.
And we do tend to write songs about these characters, right? We have Fireman, we have Love Cop, we have Weekend Man, we have...
Yeah, we create a lot of characters. We have the Nosebreakers, alter egos that we did the acoustic versions with, like the cowboy hats and scarves and stuff. We did Aliens for Full Steam Space Machine. We did... Yeah. And I guess that maybe there's this hidden, like, need in us to experience, like,
This
Cosplay, maybe.
our cosplay. Yeah,
It's a midlife crisis.
yeah,
We're going on
Been
for
going
15
on
years.
for-
yeah.
Is this, I mean, you come up with a lot of things, you know, also the ones that you mentioned now, but is this like a sort of way to keep it fresh, especially in the era that we are living, you know, that everything goes very fast, or it's something you need to do for yourself to keep it up? The fact of having, you know, as you said,
Question.
Yeah,
We're
you need to
we're
make
getting
a-
deep here.
Yeah, this is.
Exactly.
We thought this was going to be an interview, not a psychology session.
sorry.
How does this make you feel?
Again, it's like a lot of the times when we were working on songs, it's actually more fun or more stimulating or more whatever, makes more sense when you think about, you know, we know we're going to make this video, so then we can write this song because it would really fit the video. You can think like all across the medium because nowadays it's like you almost never have a song release without a video attached to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
course.
kind of like today it's all these things like audio, video, pictures, they're all gathered now under this one word called
Yeah.
content.
Adam's favorite word.
Yeah.
And it lasts 2 hours.
Yeah, and content is exactly. Really good expensive content is good for like 2 hours. And then there needs to be new content.
This time you recorded in Berlin, and
did,
you also been in charge of the production. Are you a different guy when it comes to production and when it comes, you know, to be the singer of the band and of course the writer of the songs? Do you live a sort of duality? So now it's up to you to tell this.
I don't know. I feel like I'm not the guy to answer that.
Yeah, of course.
You're the guy to answer this.
Me?
I can see.
Is he a different guy when it comes, you know?
No, it's all a douchebag. No, it's not. I don't know.
I think that it hasn't been that big of a stretch, to be honest. I mean,
No.
since we started out, Adam has always been like not producing officially, but gradually going towards a producing role. So having Adam produce this album and last one as well, right?
Well, I was...
You mean
Sort of.
song and
That's-
Comment.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, has been like a natural development. I think it's not been like.
I think it's always kind of been the big songwriter contribution is putting the sound on the song or the idea, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I a different person when I write music and when I
Yeah.
play the drums?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, the drummer I really like.
Which one of me are you
I
talking?
like the drummer you.
Yeah,
And Jonas is a different person when he drinks. That's a different story.
I'm way more.
a couple of different.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same, guys, as in the early days as when you started a band? I mean, from the heart, the soul, or is there a lesson that you've learned, you know, about making a living out of being a band? Is it a different world than you expected it to be?
I thought about something the other day. We're all parents now. And walking into this, being a parent, it's like deciding to have a child is the last selfish act you get to do. Because as soon as your child arrives, it's not about you anymore. When you decide to have a child, you're like, I'm bored, I want to have a baby, you know? And then you have one, and then it's not about you ever again. It's all about making, you know.
Of course,
And
he's
you
the
could-
priority.
And you could never imagine, like, no matter if you know somebody that has a baby or you could never imagine what it's like being a parent. It's the same thing with being in a band, like for a living. You could never in a million years imagine, even if you know somebody that's lived off of being in a band, you could never imagine what it's like doing this for a living after 15 years, like we have, right? It's something completely different. And of course we've changed, you know, as a band and as individuals. For the better, I hope. I know that I'm enjoying being in this band probably more than I ever have now. We've hit a couple of bumps. I know I have. You know, you reach a limit here, you walk into a wall here. You know, you find where your own limits are, and you can adjust and hopefully make things even better. And you know, be better as a human and a person and a musician and you know a friend. And it's a learning journey, I think, and I think we're well on our way.
Is there any trick that you've learned to live this better? I mean,
I do a lot of psychotherapy. I find it, honestly, I think it's really helpful. And I think it's funny, in Sweden at least, there is this little stigma. People are a little bit ashamed of being like, you know, going to therapy.
Yeah,
is it the same here, or is it like, oh, I do therapy?
Here, if you do it, you don't tell
Really?
nobody. Yeah, usually, you know, it's something you
My
keep
name
for
is Adam,
yourself.
and I go to therapy like a lot.
Hello, Adam.
I would recommend it to a friend. It's having a different kind of perspective is gold, really. And getting the tools. It's not getting the solutions, but it's getting the tools to find your own solutions.
Yeah.
That's really, really helped me, at least. So I would really recommend that. And don't be ashamed of it. Talk to people.
Okay, about the show. So, Radio Republic live experience has been defined as a sweaty one-night stand between Metallica and Michael Bolton, which basically, you know, it's about melting hearts while blowing speakers, pretty much. Does this raise expectations, and does this fit actually the experience?
I am excited now that you put it like that. Did we write that?
Melting hearts and blowing.
Yeah, I found that. So,
I wrote that.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Per did.
Good job.
I didn't. Did you do that as well? The melting heart and blowing speed?
No, that is mine.
No, it's original material.
Copyright, yes.
A sweaty one-night stand between Metallica and
Michael Bolton.
Poor Michael.
Who is the top? Is Metallica all four of them? Or is it, of course.
I can see Michael on top of James.
Me too. Michael mounts everybody.
With an eagle. and a
I
horse.
think that there could be no more accurate description.
Okay, so it's and does this raise expectations on the people?
I think
Do you think, or attracts the
it
people.
should.
we don't mind expectations.
No.
I in fact embrace it. There is definitely a competitive side to. I think everybody, or at least as a band, there's definitely a competitive side that likes to prove themselves and likes to, you know, up the ante.
And since you have this big responsibility, do you have a particular pre-show routine every night to be, you know, on top of it? Since, you know, from Metallica to Michael Bolton, it's
That's
a lot to do.
that's actually the exact pre-show routine. Metallica and Michael Bolton.
Okay, that's
usually what
you
we do.
listen to the
Yeah.
music.
We listen to pretty much anything from Bob Dylan to Morbid Angel to
Torsten Barnevik.
To Michael Bolton. It all ends at Michael Bolton.
There's a lot of Eros Ramazzotti spinning too.
Yeah. There is.
Do you notice particular type of T-shirts at your shows, or ever? I mean, because from the T-shirt you understand which are the musical taste of the people. So, do you notice pretty various kind of people at your shows? And you know, from
this
as we
band.
said, you know, from Metallica to Michael Bolton, or you have a specific fan base.
I have actually yet to see a Michael Bolton t-shirt.
I was
at one
just
of our
gonna
shows. I
say,
wonder how his merch
surprisingly.
game is. Is it, you know, I would love a Michael Bolton shirt.
Me too.
But I think, like you were saying, like it's pretty much all across the board. Really,
Yeah.
there is, you know, the Iron Maiden Metallica shirts, and there are the
H&M.
That is Metallica Iron Maiden
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's right in there. I was gonna say, what do the kids watch these days?
But if you have
Kuromi.
to define your audience, it's a rock audience, basically.
Yeah, but it's very diverse, and not
Yeah.
only in T-shirt wise, but also age wise and stuff. It's great. I mean, we have this old, or do you call her an old woman?
No, an
elderly
experienced
woman.
experienced woman.
I think she's like 85, and she shows up every now and then. And then we have kids sitting on their parents' shoulders, like 5, 6, 7-year-olds.
Okay, so
It's great.
do you have a goal at the moment? A main goal, like in music, of course. or you prefer to live it day by day and
I mean,
it's already 15 years or so.
Yeah, I guess it moves all the time. We've fulfilled and reached so many of our goals and dreams, since day one. Yeah. Day one was just, the dream was having a band.
Yeah.
And then it was writing, having 5 songs. And then the dream was to do a show. And you do those, and then you get new dreams and new goals. Yeah. You have your first sold-out show and your first tour and your first gold record or your first song on the radio. And it just keeps moving. Hopefully, I mean, maybe it's more modest, but I just hope we can keep doing what we're doing and, maintain a level of performance and hopefully get even better songwriting-wise and performance-wise and just grow. I think it's fun, at least. I don't want to stop and just do this everyday thing over and over and over that I see, I've seen people do. Hopefully we can still, there's room for development and growth and, new ways of having fun and, still stuff there to experience.
Thanks, guys, for your time, and see you next time you'll be in Milan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the show tonight.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Ciao.